Alright, what's up guys? Welcome to Promotech. Thanks for tuning in. So the Pixel 11 Pro Fold is finally out of the box and sitting in my hands right now. And after spending real time with it instead of just reading spec sheets, there are a few things Google got right, a couple things they clearly compromised on, and one change in daily use that nobody talks about until they actually live with this phone for a few days. So stick around because some of this genuinely surprised me. Let's dive right into the video, because the first thing that hits you the second you pick this thing up is the weight and thickness, and it's a genuinely different feeling than last year's model. Folded down, this thing is noticeably slimmer in the hand, and unfolded it sits flatter on a table than the 10 Pro Fold ever did. That thinner body isn't just a marketing line, you feel it every single time you pull it out of your pocket. Sliding it in and out feels less like managing a small tablet and more like carrying an actual phone. But here's the part worth pausing on. That thinness came from somewhere, and after a full day of mixed use, camera, browsing, some gaming, the battery story starts to get real. It's not bad, but it's not the all-day monster some people were hoping for either, and that trade-off between slimness and stamina is going to be the thing that splits opinions on this device the most. Then there's the chip, and this is honestly the pleasant surprise of the unboxing. The Tensor G6 running on the new C1 core architecture actually feels different, not just faster on paper but calmer under pressure, less warmth building up in your palm during longer sessions, which if you've owned a Pixel before you know has been a real complaint for years. I ran it through a stretch of gaming, some video editing on the inner display, and back-to-back video calls, and the difference in how the phone handles heat is noticeable almost immediately. It just doesn't get uncomfortable the way older Pixels used to after 20 minutes of anything demanding. Switching away from the old modem setup seems to be paying off too. Signal held steady in spots where my old Pixel used to stumble. And that's the kind of fix you don't see in a spec sheet, but absolutely notice the first time you're on a call, walking through a parking garage, or riding a subway platform. Google finally seems to be fixing the thing that's quietly frustrated Pixel owners the longest, and that alone changes how this phone feels to actually own, not just to look at. Now let's talk cameras, because opening the box and actually shooting with this thing tells a more complete story than any leak could. The photos are good, genuinely good in daylight. Colors come out accurate without that oversaturated look some competitors lean into, and skin tones in particular look more natural straight out of the camera than I expected. But you can start to see where Google made choices. This sensor isn't chasing the absolute best glass on the market. It's chasing consistency and speed, shots that look right straight out of the camera without you doing any editing. Where it gets interesting is low light and zoom. That's where you start to feel the ceiling a little. Images past 5 or 6 times zoom start softening up faster than I'd like on a phone at this price. And it lines up with something I flagged before launch, that the camera hardware here wasn't getting the same top-tier treatment as the standalone Pro model. It's not a deal breaker, but if photography is your main reason for buying a Fold, it's worth knowing exactly what you're getting into before you spend this kind of money, because you're paying flagship price for what is, at least on the sensor side, a step below flagship glass. And that's honestly the theme of this whole unboxing. A phone that's making smart, deliberate trade-offs instead of just throwing everything at the wall, which matters a lot if you're someone trying to get real, efficient use out of your device every single day instead of just chasing numbers. That's actually part of why I've been running Walrus alongside this thing since day one, because it trims out the background data waste that quietly drains a battery and heats up a phone before you've even opened your first app. On a device that's already balancing thinness against battery life, cutting that background noise out makes a real difference you can actually feel by the end of the day, and honestly on a phone this expensive, squeezing every bit of efficiency out of it just makes sense. Folding it open for the first time, the crease is there, it's always going to be there, but it's shallow enough that within a day you stop noticing it mid-scroll, which says a lot about how far this Hinge tech has come in just a couple generations. The hinge itself feels tighter and more confident than last year, less wobble when you're holding it open one-handed, and it can actually hold itself at odd angles now for things like propping it up for a video call, which the older model struggled with. Multitasking on the big screen feels genuinely useful now instead of gimmicky. Split-screen apps snap into place quickly, drag and drop between windows actually works the way Google has been promising for years, and typing on the inner display in landscape actually feels natural instead of cramped, which is more than I can say for the first couple generations of this device. Software is where this thing quietly separates itself too, and it's easy to overlook in an unboxing because it's not something you can hold up to the camera. The way apps remember their state when you fold and unfold the phone mid-task, the way the outer screen and inner screen hand off what you're doing without a hard reset. That stuff used to be clunky and now it just works most of the time. There are still a handful of apps that haven't caught up to the big screen properly. You'll notice some stretch layouts here and there, but it's a smaller list than it used to be, and that's a real sign Google's put actual pressure on developers this cycle instead of just hoping for the best. If you've made it this far into an actual hands-on, instead of just watching a spec comparison, you're clearly someone who wants the real story before dropping this kind of money, and that's exactly who this channel exists for. Right now, over 70% of you watching aren't subscribed yet, and I'm not here to guilt you into it. I'm just saying if you want the honest, lived-in take on devices like this before the hype cycle drowns it out, hitting subscribe puts you in that group instead of scrolling past it next time. One more thing worth mentioning before we wrap this up, the memory situation. Running 12 gigs on this unit instead of the 16 some of us expected. And in day-to-day use, I genuinely haven't hit a wall yet. Apps stay open in the background longer than I expected. Switching between the camera, a couple browser tabs, and a chat app doesn't cause the reloading you'd expect from a lower RAM count. Where I could see it maturing down the line is heavier on-device AI tasks as Google keeps pushing those features into every corner of the software. So this is one of those things worth revisiting in a few months once more of those features actually roll out. So after a few real days with the Pixel 11 Pro Fold out of the box, I'm genuinely torn in a good way. The chip and modem upgrades fix real problems. The design finally feels intentional and comfortable instead of like a science experiment. But the camera and battery trade-offs are exactly what they look like on paper, just now confirmed in real use. Is that a fair trade for a phone that finally feels comfortable to hold all day? Or does a Fold at this price need to stop compromising on the basics? Drop your thoughts below, because I want to know if you'd take this deal, and if you've already got one in hand, I want to hear what you're noticing that I might have missed. Take care, and stay safe. I'll see you in the next one soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.